Hi guys. May is Ehlers Danlos Syndrome Awareness Month, or EDS for short. EDS is a connective tissue disorder caused by a genetic mutation in the collagen gene. Collagen makes up 80% of the human body, so the symptoms that it causes are vast, impacting almost every body system. I've been trying to make this video since yesterday. I wanted a pretty scenery that I didn't quite get. I was in my mom's bird garden that she'd set up, and then the neighbor started doing laundry, and I'm allergic to different laundry detergents, so then I couldn't do that. Then the next time I tried, someone was mowing. So I just have not had the best of luck with this video. But anyways, since it is EDS Awareness Month, a lot of people on Instagram have been doing the challenges where each day you answer a different question, and I figured that I would answer them on YouTube rather than making an Instagram post for each individual question. I'm only going to do some of them, not all of them. But the first question is, what type of EDS do you have? I have type 3, which is the hypermobility type. I was diagnosed at age 14 by the connective tissue geneticist Dr. Brad Tinkle. Being that an exact mutation for the hypermobility type has not been located, although it has for all of the other types of EDS, the diagnosis for me was clinically based. I am in the process of having actual genetic testing for the other types of Ehlers Danlos syndrome. I should have my results in about 8 weeks. The purpose of seeking an EDS diagnosis was to determine the cause of the secondary conditions: dysautonomia, gastroparesis / digestive tract paralysis, and mast cell activation. I was diagnosed with all of those things first prior to my pediatrician when I was younger noticing that I fit the mold for EDS. How hypermobile are you, and are you stretchy? I'm pretty hypermobile. It's always been kind of obvious. The kids at school would always point at my arm if I would be leaning on a desk, and they would say like, "Ew, what's that?" But I did not used to think my skin was necessarily stretchy, but the geneticist was pretty impressed at the stretchiness of my mom and I's skin. What was my first dislocation? My first dislocation occurred when I was a baby. It was an elbow dislocation. I was trying to walk and I had something in my hand and I fell and dislocated my arm. Once I built up muscle, my injuries were few and far between until the GI component hit, and I lost all of that muscle that was supporting my joints. The joint that is most problematic, I would say, is my right knee.
I have permanent bruising from repeated injury.
And my fingers. And my neck. I have cervical cranial instability, where my neck is almost like a bobblehead, where my tissues are too weak to support my skull. And I get awful migraines right at the base of the skull, and I wear a cervical collar when that's flaring. Okay, surgeries. When I was 8, I had an infected lymph node removed on my scalp. I also had 12 teeth pulled. That wasn't necessarily under general anesthesia, but they did put me out for that. I was in the 5th grade, and because EDS affects the connective tissue, there is dental problems associated with it. I didn't get my first tooth until I was over a year old, and then they weren't falling out. So by 5th grade, finally, because I hadn't lost my teeth yet, they had to go pull 12 teeth. I was left with 8 teeth in my mouth, no joke, 4 in the front and 4 on the bottom. I also had the high narrow palate, so I had the spreader, and once my adult teeth finally grew in after they were pulled, then I had my braces put on. When I was in middle school in 2010, I had a Nissen fundoplication, and what that is they take part of the stomach and they wrap it around the esophagus to prevent reflux. Other surgeries that I've had have been line placements. I've had 2 GJ tube placements. I had to go through that twice because the first time it was pulled out and the stoma healed over because it was during a good spell. There was a bee. Oh no. I don't know if I'm allergic. I've never been stung by one. That was only slightly terrifying. Pain management. Pain management is kind of a problem. I do not respond favorably to the traditional pain relieving medications. I'm severely allergic to NSAIDs, and we did not realize this after taking NSAIDs my whole life until 2015 or 16, when the pharmacist had purely compounded baby aspirin to treat my high prostaglandin levels. And once I took that, I went into an anaphylactic reaction. Although I had taken aspirin my entire life, I didn't develop a reaction to it until I was 18 years old. Tylenol does not work for me, and opioids are contraindicated for my already slow GI tract. Aside from a single dose of fentanyl and surgery, my pain relieving options are scant. As a chronic pain sufferer, that can be pretty miserable, so I'm always looking for non-medication ways to reduce pain. For EDS pain specifically, I ice my injuries. I find that ice works better for me than heat. I also rely on bracing and splints. Like I said before, I have my cervical collar. I have silver ring splints that keep the finger joints in place. I have arm wraps. I have hinged knee braces and regular slip-on knee supports. I have ankle braces. WellWrap is a product that I've recently been researching, and I am very excited to try. It has not quite hit the market yet, but it will in the next couple of weeks. WellWrap is a knee support, currently it's only for the knee, that combines the FDA-approved laser therapy to target the sick cells causing pain. What it does is that it stimulates the mitochondria in the sick cells to produce ATP, which is what fuels the cell with energy. The company that manufactures it is a newer company with the goal of providing a safe pain relieving option without the use of harsh medications and opioids to chronic pain patients like me. It can be used for a plethora of conditions, not just Ehlers Danlos syndrome. It can be sports injury, arthritis. It also increases the body's endorphin release, which is a natural way of combating pain. A helpful aspect of the device is that it has incorporated cloud technology to monitor patients' vitals and other pertinent information regarding their chronic pain. I elaborate on the product further in my latest blog post, but like I said, I'm definitely interested in trying it. The first few to sign up will receive a 40% off discount in their email. I will post the link to the blog post and the pre-ordering sign-up page in the description and over there. Worst doctor experience. Wow, I've had so many. The first that comes to mind is this one time when I was 17. I had just encountered my first ever mast cell activation flare, which is an EDS comorbidity. I had been admitted locally to a smaller hospital near my house, but my pediatrician decided that I needed to go see a mast cell specialist, but I was under no condition to do so. I was air flighted to Virginia Commonwealth University to see a supposed specialist. The initial surprise was that I did not have an actual room once I got there. It was all curtains. There were people hacking everywhere. It was grody and dirty, and I ended up catching mono. With much advocating from my wonderful parents, I got a room with glass doors and was like, thank God, because I wasn't exposed to all of the extra triggers and germs. But in that room that they had, the secluded room that they had me in, they had a toilet right next to the bed. It's awesome. And it wasn't a bedside commode toilet that you can move around. It was an actual legit toilet that had this wooden cover that you can lift up and down off of it. And they ended up placing my PICC line, that's supposed to be a sterile process, directly next to that toilet. and they would set up their sterile fields under the air conditioner. Regardless of that part of the horrible situation, the specialist was not a specialist at all. He kept messing up all of my MCAS testing, and he wanted me to prove myself. So he made me eat a Subway sandwich to prove to him that I was going to go into an anaphylactic reaction. I was started on TPN after that, which is part of the reason why they had placed the PICC line. And while I was on TPN at that hospital, they were putting 900 units of heparin into my TPN bag, which is not protocol for pediatric patients at the hospital in Florida that I was at. Although I'm not in pediatrics anymore, just FYI. But they were also doing 100-unit flushes many times throughout the day. So for a patient like me who is already more prone to bleeding, I was bleeding internally. VCU had given me heparin toxicity, but that is what led to my best doctor experience. I was sent home like that. The home health nurse that had come to my house to teach my family and I had her prepare my TPN assessed me, and because of the heparin toxicity, she had said that my muscles were hemorrhaging. It was horrible. The pain was unreal. She called my pediatrician, and I was sent to a larger hospital in my home state of Florida, where I was put under the care of the pediatric intensivist, which was exactly the doctor that we needed. Through such a horrible experience, God directed us to the doctor that has saved my life time and time again. What is your normal? Now, EDS differs from person to person. No two patients are exactly alike. Before the mast cell part worsened, my normal was halfway functional. I was attending high school for one class period a day because I did not have the energy to do more. The remainder of my courses were taken online at home. I was on about 10 pills per day. I could eat still, but when I did eat, I would get severely ill, and my sugars would spike over 200 and crash into the 40s and 50s in a matter of minutes. So my entire day was spent playing how low can you go. And once I would correct my low blood sugar, it would just turn around and make the whole process happen again. I was on J-tube feedings for only 12 hours during the night while I slept. I encountered quite a few injuries, especially because I was more active then. I would dislocate a finger by simply picking up a book wrong or just daily menial tasks. I still tried to exercise by modifying yoga and Pilates, and of course wearing braces during that exercise to ensure that my joints weren't hyperextended. I experienced chronic achiness. BioFreeze was my BFF when I tolerated it, until I learned that I should probably sit down upon blacking out. I used to faint, but once I learned my body's response, I would only have pre-syncope upon standing, unless it was just a very bad day. But for the most part, I could do anything that a normal person would do as long as I wasn't exposed to heat, that there was no excessive standing, and that I had lots of rest. There's a beat. Once the mast cell portion became bad, my normal changed. My EDS symptoms worsened. I lost the ability to eat without severe reactions. My digestive tract paralysis spread. Instead of just my stomach, it's now my intestine. As I lost weight from the added food-related issues from not being able to have enough intake, then my EDS issues did increase too, because like I had said previously, muscle is imperative to support the unstable tissues around our joints, and when that is not there, injuries increase tenfold. I am mostly homebound due to environmental triggers, perfumes, etc. My insides always hurt and are inflamed. I have about 2 decent hours during the day. The rest I'm on the couch for the most part. I do try to force myself to exercise by walking up and down the inclined hill in the backyard. If I do leave the house, It usually does entail a flare that provokes the loss of more weight, which I'm already at a critically low number and can be dangerous. What is the scariest part of your future with EDS? My camera died, so I'm having to switch to my phone. Sorry. So, the scariest part of my future with EDS, I would say, is the inability to be independent. I feel as if I was more independent than I was 9 than at age 21. Whether it's just fainting or severe reactions or injuries, I need help with everyday tasks, and it's not always convenient to have someone there 24/7 to help me when everyone else needs to go on about their lives and go to work and that kind of thing. And I am very thankful that my mom is around to do that. I guess this frightening perspective of that would be that what happens when she's not able to. One thing EDS has given you, I'm going to conclude with this question. EDS has taken away tons. I think it's honestly taken away more than it has given, but it has allowed me to meet my very best friends in the world. Had I not had EDS or any of the secondary conditions, I would not have half the wonderful people in my life as I do now. So I am forever grateful for that. And yeah, thank you for watching. Check out that WellWrap link that I will have in the description. And thank you. Bye.